let's talk about a shipwreck, and you unearth a 200-year-old treasure trove of fine wine that's been preserved in bottles. Let's say it's champagne. So you now have 200-year-old champagne, and there it is in bottles. And it's Dom Perignon champagne from 200 years ago. How would you integrate that champagne? Do you swallow the bottle? Of course not. You uncork the bottle and you pour out the champagne and you drink it. If you actually want to take advantage of this so-called valuable thing that you've recovered, the reason why you delved into the darkness in the first place. Most people, when they read Jung and they read the integration of the shadow, they believe that what Jung was saying is that you have to integrate your shadow's self, that you have to integrate your demons. But this is not what integration of the shadow is, and this is not what Jung experienced, and this is not what Jung witnessed his patients experiencing when they had revelations, when they had comprehensions, when they comprehended their demons, their shadow, what had been causing them and others suffering. And they had this eureka moment and this euphoric release. What was happening there is they were popping the cork on the champagne and they were releasing what was actually valuable. And they were integrating what was actually valuable. And that is the consciousness and the self-evident experiential knowledge which had been bottled up inside of the shadow. This is what they were integrating. And the knowledge of the in-depth, comprehensive knowledge of what the shadow was, what the particular demon, what the particular ego that they were suffering from. Knowledge is power. But too many people read Jung and say, oh, the integration of the shadow is about integrating all of your demons and making them a part of who you are and becoming okay with that and accepting that that's a part of who you are and that's a part of yourself, your personality. But that's not what integration of the shadow is. That's not what you are integrating. In the same way that you can't have your cake and eat it too. You cannot reap the benefit of a bottle of Dom Perignon champagne by holding on to the bottle as is, cork intact. You haven't had any of the champagne. You don't know what it's like. You don't really know anything about that champagne, right? There's only one way to know what a 200-year-old bottle of Dom Perignon champagne tastes like. There's only one way. There's no other way to know. So you can't possibly hold on to the full bottle and say that, oh, and add it to your wine cellar and say that I have integrated the bottle of champagne into my life. If you do that, you know nothing. You know absolutely nothing about yourself, about the champagne that you just bought or found as you were exploring the abyss, as you were exploring the shadow world of your subconscious mind. And recognizing that, for example, that you have these faults, these defects and vices, and recognizing the dangers that they present to you and others. That's the knowledge of that is only superficial. The comprehensive knowledge of it is when you realize how that shadow enslaves you and all the means by which it enslaves you, all the means by which it bottles up your consciousness and your energy and it hoards it. You have to release it. You have to pop the cork on the champagne. To put it another way, using some of the analogies, symbolism or allegories from last week, we talked about vaults, right? We talked about these vaults and uncovering vaults. Well, what good is a vault if you don't open it, if you don't open the vault? But most vaults have some kind of a lock, or they require some key or some combination to unlock those vaults. But what's of value is not the vault itself. So exploration in the abyss and facing our demons who are guarding this treasure, guarding these vaults, that's an important step because we have to find the treasure. But we cannot return home a conquering hero. We cannot return home a wealthy, more wealthy, leveled up, unless we can open the vaults, pop the cork on the champagne, and get at what is inside and actually integrate what is inside into our lives. And you can discard the bottle, you can discard the vault. And the demons that were guarding it served their purpose. The bottle, the vault, the vessels that had been containing the treasure, they served their purpose. They were guarding the treasure. They were protecting the treasure. And they were keeping that treasure as far away from you as possible, down here in the abyss, that you only arrived at, that you could only find by following your bliss, by going to first base. Because you cannot traverse from self to the abyss and back again. You cannot do that. Not least because that's where the pitcher stands. If we want to continue our baseball analogy here, that's where the pitcher stands. Your divine mother would be the pitcher in this sense, because she throws you the ball. You know that expression, the ball is in your court? You've been served. That's a legal statement. When someone serves you you're served what is it now exactly? An indictment, or someone's suing you. So you're served the papers for when you are required to be in court. While your divine mother pitches you the ball. And if you hit it, if you respond to that which you are served with, then you can begin this process of going around one revolution of course, the alm of life. But every single revolution is this. And the whole point of this is that you descend and you return home having gotten a run in baseball. So a point. So you add a run to the scoreboard. So you return home, your home base, yourself is now leveled up in some way. This is you adding some more detail to your drawing. It's also chipping away at the excess to create slightly more definition, because the shadow obscures, the shadow hides, the shadow contains, and it keeps far from us that which we require to grow, to advance, that which we require to see with more clarity. So adding more definition to the drawing, adding more definition to the base, or adding more definition to the sculpture which stands upon the base. That sculpture which is an expression and longs to be an inspiration to others, longs to be an expression of some ideal